All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hannah Wells of WDTD, and I'll be facilitating this webinar that you are about to hear that is titled The Hazard Simplification Project, Non-Precipitation Weather and Marine Reformatting. This webinar will be presented by the Haz Simp development team for the non-precip and marine warnings. Starting off this presentation will be Danielle Nagel, who is a social scientist with iTegrity. Following Danielle will be Andy Horvitz, the Public Program Lead, and Darren Wright, who is the Marine Program Lead, and they will discuss the NPW and Marine Warning restructuring. And with that, I hand it over to Danielle.
Great. Thank you, Hannah, and thanks everyone for joining. So to begin, I'd like to give you a brief background on the Haz Simp project and some of the social science that has led us to the point of consolidation and reformatting. So starting in 2014, we conducted stakeholder focus groups and case studies to gather some initial feedback on the strengths and weaknesses of the current watch, warning, and advisory system, or WWA, as we'll say. One consistent theme throughout this initial engagement was that the WWA system had too many products and our messages could be overly long and complex in some cases. So now moving on to the red circle that you see on the screen, the institutionalization survey was designed to assess the level to which the WWA system is embedded in our organizational policy. So this research really helped us determine what level of change was actually possible. We found that while the terms, particularly the warning, were to some extent embedded in policy, most organizations could adjust to change if given enough lead time. Finally, moving on to the blue circle, we conducted a large-scale workshop in 2015 to collect feedback on ideas to transform the WWA system. A variety of concepts came out of this effort, several of which we then tested with the public in a generalizable study last year. Following the public survey, we also conducted a series of focus groups with forecasters and partners earlier this year, and that actually brought us to our final prototype. But backing out just a little bit for a moment, early on in this process, we realized that two HazSimp phases really needed to occur. Repair for the adjustment to our current system as it stands, and revamp for exploring a new system altogether or major changes. In this training, we'll be focusing on and discussing a piece of repair, which is consolidation and reformatting. So in October 2017, we transitioned all winter products to what, where, when bulleted format. Since this change received pretty positive feedback overall, we've begun to expand the concept to other hazard programs. The larger vision in all of this is that all long fuse products will adopt this 3W format to provide some consistency and clarity in answer to the social science. So you'll see one change here from winter. We've added an impacts bullet, and this is in response to forecaster, public, and partner feedback we've heard. And then also, if you look at the additional details there, that bullet will be retained as optional in case there is further information the forecaster wants to convey that doesn't fit logically in the other four bullets. So I showed you some of the broader social science that led to consolidation and reformatting, but our next step was to conduct specific surveys for each program, and these were distributed widely through a public information statement. So in this slide, you'll see some of the results from our Marine and NPW surveys, and in both, we had really good results for reformatting. Actually, 3/4 of the respondents agreed with reformatting of in both these programs. And many of the partners within them actually commented on the clean and succinct feel of the new format. So after that, we got the changes approved by the service program teams and the Mission Delivery Council. So now I will hand it over to Andy, and he'll talk a little bit more about process.
Thank you very much, Danielle. So let's spend a couple moments on the process. So what is changing exactly? All our NPW products will be reformatted into the what, where, and when and impact, and that is effective on September 24th. Many of you may have seen a P&S that went out in late June to notify our users that change would be taking place, and also attached to that notice was a PDD that goes into detail on the changes that are taking place. So the what, where, when, and then impacts, that format includes, of course, precautionary preparedness actions, and the additional details can be included in between the impacts and precautionary preparedness information, and that is again used by forecaster discretion. So the new NPW formatter will include installation and configuration instructions. Hopefully you have received, your office has received the formatter. We have a list of regional focal points at the end of this presentation that you can contact, and also you can access this on VLab as well. If you do have any problems, you can open tickets on the software collaboration portal, and any questions, use the nwsformatter.support@noaa.gov. Now, this information will be installed alongside the existing NPW formatter. And there is the wording there, the test hazard _ NPW Haz Simp. Again, it is effective on September 24th. It is quite possible there will be NPW hazards in place on that date. And if so, after the issuance of those hazards and the cancellation of those hazards, then the new reformat situation will take place. Now, once implemented, the ITOs or GFE focal points should remove the test formatter and remove the legacy formatter, so there won't be any confusion between the two formatters. So the next slide will show an example of an excessive heat warning, both in the current format on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side, the reformatting. The box at the top on the left-hand side under current product, notice we have removed that attribute headline in the reformatted product on the right side. That information is already listed and described in the reformatted product. If you notice, all the other critical information in the what, where, when is listed, as well as precautionary actions. And the important point here is that we've seen that there is the bulletized format is not going away. It's staying. It's very popular, as Danielle showed in her slides, and it will continue to as we have more products in that new format. The next slide will show actually a GFE screenshot of the new formatter for excessive heat warning. The point here is at the very top, you'll see the blue, which talks a lot about the VTEC and the location information. That is not forecast edible. The information that is everything in black and, of course, in red. And that obviously would be changing depending on forecaster discretion and the event that unfolds in your CWA. Next slide. This shows all the hazards that are going to be reformatted. All the WWAs, watch warning advisories. We have 11 advisories, which I believe is the most of any service program, and 7 warnings and 5 watches. So there are a lot of products that will be reformatted in about a month or so. The next slide. So we just want to give you a taste of what's coming up with regard to consolidation. This will be happening in Hazard Services FY21, so it's still a couple of years away. But we worked with with our social scientist Danielle, as well as a number of extensive journalizable surveys looking at our various NPW products. We are going to consolidate the temperature products. That means extreme cold and wind chill, both the watch, warning, and advisory, and they're going to become, as you can see, extreme cold for the watch warning, and the cold weather advisory for the wind chill will become that. The consistency here is between excessive and extreme. Excessive will become extreme to be consistent with our cold weather products. So there's also a renaming going on. But again, we want to emphasize this is not happening on September 24th. It will happen in about 2 years. We are not moving forward with any of our visibility or wind products. And again, this is an important move because we not just deal with our partners, but we deal with our SPT team. We went through the Mission Delivery Council, and they support our decision to consolidate and what we are consolidating. So with that, I turn it over to Darren to talk about the marine reformatting and consolidation.
Okay, thank you, Andy. So the process screen is very similar to the NPW. The process is exactly the same, although you'll notice on the first line that the date that we plan on implementing the marine changes is on December 3rd. And we decided on December 3rd because we wanted to implement the changes after hurricane season, because there was fear that if we made the change during hurricane season, and there was an issue, it may affect information on hurricanes going out. So we decided to wait till after hurricane season. And like NPW, we ask that you download the formatter ahead of time and practice. The name of the marine formatter is going to be test MWW, which is similar to the NPW, just the last 3 letters are different. And also, we remind you that once you implement it, to please remove the test from the Hazard MWW and remove the legacy formatter so there's no confusion. So here's an example of a gal watch with the old format and the new format. Again, the attribution in the blue box on the left side, that's going away, but the information is not. It's going to be distributed amongst the what, where, when. And the whole purpose of doing this consolidation into the what, where, when is so we can get consistency across all of the programs and products. Here's another example with a rip current statement that's going to be converted into the what, where, when. And you will notice that the new format is a little bit more concise. And again, the idea behind it is so folks know exactly where to go to get the information they need. It doesn't matter what product that they're looking at. And here are all the marine products that are going to be reformatted. And you'll notice missing from the list are the special marine warning and the high seas forecast. Those 2 products will not be changed at this time, but all the products that you see on the list here will be reformatted. Also, you'll notice in the title of the slide, you'll see the word consolidated. Marine actually is going to do a consolidation at the same time we're doing the reformat change. We're going to be consolidating the 4 flavors of small craft advisory into a single small craft advisory. Now we're going to be asking that WFOs do this via policy. There will not be a software change in GFE for this, so those 4 choices will still be available for now, but we'll be asking that you only select the small craft advisory for this interim until Hazard Services is implemented. When Hazard Services is implemented for marine in the fall of 2021, this change will be implemented, so there will only be 1 small craft advisory option. And here's a screenshot from the marine formatter that's coming out. And you'll notice I've highlighted the VTEC that we would like you to use and only use, the SC.Y. Again, for small craft advisory, since we are doing that consolidation via policy, we ask that you only use that VTEC. But like NPW, the blue area is not editable, but the rest of the message is. You can go in there and make changes. You can customize it to your local area if necessary. So to recap, the NPW reformatting is going to be implemented on September 24th, that's next month. And the marine reformatting and small craft advisory consolidation is going to follow that in December 3rd. So as Annie mentioned, here are some of the focal points for NPW. If you have questions or you need some assistance downloading the new formatter, you can contact these folks for NPW. And here are the focal points for the marine program. Again, if you need assistance downloading the new formatter, you can contact these folks. Or if you have any questions about the hazard simplification process that we're going through, or again, if you need assistance downloading the formatter, you can contact the Haz Simp team at HazSimp@NOAA.gov. And with that, I'm going to turn the mic back to Hannah so we can address a few questions.
We have one question in from Ron Morales. It seems the new products are missing the who is issuing it, i.e. NWS. Does this concern anyone?
Well, hi Ron, this is Eli Jacks, project lead, and you're asking a good question. So we're going for brevity, but we figured that the attribution is contained in the header of the message, which is not shown here. For example, that it's coming from San Juan or as it's now shown on the slides. We are actually in our Haz Simp workshop coming up next month, where we're going to be talking about the larger changes. We are going to be discussing this attribution issue as part of our overall revamp process that goes beyond the reformatting that was discussed today. So I do appreciate and understand the question, and this is something we're going to be discussing some more.
All right, thanks for that question, Ron.
There is one from Glenn Field here. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you from my side, and let's see if we can hear you. Okay, Glenn said he inadvertently raised his hand, so no problem at all, no worries. Steve Nelson did ask a question here, so let me go ahead and see if I can unmute.
Steve? Yeah, I just wanted to see, I came in a few minutes late. I didn't know if you could show the NPW slide, the summary slide of what's changing again, real quickly.
Sure. Is this the
Glenn, is that the slide, or was there another one?
Well, the summary of what products are, what some specific examples of what's being
No, sure. So these are the products, Glenn. There are 10 advisories, 7 warnings, and 5 watches. That includes, so bottom line is, this is not consolidation, it's just reformat. All the products that you see currently in 10-515, those are the products that will be reformatted. And by the way, we are also going to update the policies for marine and for public with all the examples in the back that will be all in the new reformat format. So that's going through right now. It's not official yet, but it's definitely being approved, and we'll incorporate all those changes.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, that sounds pretty good. While other people are thinking about questions, I do have one question here, and that's in terms of the outreach components of this. Do you have any suggestions or anything like that as far as information that the offices might be able to use for outreach, or has that been covered elsewhere, or anything to do with that, for example, would be something I guess I would ask about.
Well, both programs are putting out a service change notice, and that can be utilized by WFOs to send out a broader message out to other folks. They could use social media to get the information out.
I don't want to volunteer anyone up. Probably just volunteering, to be honest. But if it would be useful, we could consider working on a one-pager or something with the comms team to send out to WCMs.
Yeah, we could also put that like in the MWS Insider.
Yeah.
We're also presenting this. I am for the National Weather Association meeting upcoming in Huntsville next month. I think the Insider would be good, and that of course can be shared.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if I don't know if you'll have, let's say, a good list of all the watch warning products the Weather Service produces, prior, and how it changes to the post simplification process. But if you don't, I might actually make one of those just for our purposes here.
So just to clarify, for this, it's at least for NPW, it's focused solely on reformatting at this point. So there won't be the number of products, just the format of them. And Darren's marine program will only be consolidating small craft advisories at this time.
Okay. Yep. All right. Looks like I got a couple more questions here, and I'll start off with Steve Zubrick. And I'm going to unmute you on my end, and let's see if we can hear you.
Is the marine update that we'll be doing December 3rd, is that software that you can use in practice mode? Is that available with the same update for the NPW that's currently out there?
Yes, it is available, and I actually put a slide together at the end here. Let me see if I can get to it. So I'd be happy to send this email out, but here's kind of a step-by-step how to get a hold of that, and it's called test_hazard_MWW. But I assume this is up on VLab, correct?
Right, it would be VLab, and just use your email address and your password just to get into your normal account to get into that.
And this will be the same process to download the NPW one as well.
Right.
It's just a different name. Instead of MWW, it'll say MPW.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. I have one more here, and that's Brett McDonald. And so Brett's question is, when will the new formatters be sent to offices for testing?
Yeah, like I said, for the MPW, you should hopefully have your formatter already to test. We listed the slide there that listed the your contacts in your region. I'm not sure what region Brett is located, but he should contact. Do you know, Jim, what region he's from? What WFO?
Not at this point right now.
Okay, but he obviously can look at that slide and he can talk to that person. If not, Jonathan Lamb, we can send it from John. He can always send an email to the Haz Simp. The last slide of the presentation, there's a link for Haz Simp. You can send it to that, or you can send it to me, Andy Horvitz, and I'll work with Jonathan Lamb, make sure he gets that.
He's from Riverton, so that would be Central Region.
Central, right. So Derek would be his focal point. But again, if for some reason Derek's out or whatever, no problem. Either myself or Jonathan Lamb can send that to him.
Okay. So basically, directions to get the formatter, contact the region or one of you, and then it should be taken care of. Okay, sounds good.
Or they can get into VLab themselves, and if they follow those steps that we just showed, they can go grab it themselves.
Right.
And if they have any questions, they can send it through the Haz Simp, and we can distribute it to the right people.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. I'll just ask one more question, and that is, there's going to be kind of a review and reflection period, I assume, over the next year or so, and see how the reception goes for the new formatting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We're always open to comments. Anytime there's a change, that affects people, you're going to, get emails and questions about it. But yeah, we're going to certainly evaluate over the next year and make any changes if necessary. In the winter program, we actually backed off on one of the changes, and I'll let Danielle give a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, we continue, like I said before, we continually put out these surveys through PNSs, and they're specific to hazards, to programs, and they help us calibrate how much change is desired and needed. So, we have backed off on some consolidations, such as Andy mentioned earlier with the visibility. Also in winter, we backed off any further consolidation of the winter warning products, given poor results from surveys. So we really use those to help calibrate, what the direction and path we take. Also on the winter program, I know we've done some partner surveys, we've done some partner feedback at meetings and such to understand how well the changes are working. And so that's how we gathered some of the positive feedback from the winter reformatting.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
So we have a few questions already from Daryl Kingfield. So his question is, for the NPW reformatting, what about the air stagnation outlook? It is rarely issued, but what are the plans for it?
Okay, that's a good question. Right now, we're just planning on doing the actual WWAs. However, I guess we would like to know how frequently that product has been issued. I guess it does bring to point, we are doing statements in marine. We had not planned that. Right now it's not planned, but I guess it's something we can consider as either a separate update or wait until we move forward with hazard services. We would like to do everything in that format at some point, but that was not considered. It was just the watch, warning, and advisories. Like I said, Marine has statements, so they went a little bit beyond that, and so that may be something that we should think about. Although I would like to know from that how frequently, maybe in your office or some offices, especially out west, they use that.
All right, Daryl, second question is, for NPW, has a phenomenon significance code been decided upon for the cold weather advisory, or will it use the one from the wind chill advisory?
Let me look at that slide here for a moment. Let me just speak to that. So right now, nothing is actually changing as far as the codes. It would stay as my understanding. I will double check, okay, on that. My understanding, everything is staying the same until we actually consolidate our products. So once we consolidate, if you look at the consolidation, so wind chill, for instance, wind chill advisory would go to a cold weather advisory, and at that point, it would change. But under the reformatting, every wind chill would still stay the same, because if you remember, wind chill is still under the winter directive, NWSI 10-513, and it will become part of 515 once we consolidate.
All right, and the last question we have from Daryl is, just for clarification, when is small craft advisory going to be consolidated? In December 2019?
Yeah, so what we're asking for is for WFOs to, those 4 selections will still be available in GFE. So we'll be asking through policy to just use small craft advisory, the SC.Y. And then in hazard services, those other 3 options are going to be eliminated. So only small craft advisory will be in hazard services when that gets implemented in the fall of 2021.
And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and I'd like to thank our presenters, and I hope everyone has a great day.